Welcome to part 14 of our build, and I'm just going to go ahead and arrange all my parts out. And there's actually quite a few parts to this build, and when you look in the manual, it's actually a kind of complex build, and there's a lot of room for mistakes and errors, and you're going to see me do a few errors. I'm going to just point this out to you so that you could save you total time. First major error that you could make is the center bearing insert, and these are just very easy to orient them incorrectly. So like a bad parent, I'm just going to tell you, do what I tell you, don't do what I do. So I could actually go back and film this, but it's going to take me too long to tear everything apart and watch me rebuild it again. So just want to point out to you that there is going to be a section where I screw this up totally. The other part is this strange kind of spacer washer, and it's got some flanges. You need to just orient these correctly too. So just two parts that you have to really watch out to get these orientated correctly. So let's grab the shaft here, and we'll put these pieces on here. And just want to point out to you that the center bearing insert is placed incorrectly. Then because of that, the slipper spring retainer is also placed incorrectly. So you would need to actually invert this in your build. So just to let you know, you see all that flange is just pointing out that should actually be placed the other way. Otherwise, everything is going to be correct. So apologize for that part. You're going to place your slipper hub on here, and the reason why it's so strange that you could actually build this incorrectly is that all the other parts fit. Like, even though you have two parts orientated incorrectly, every other piece is going correctly. Just want to point out to you that a point of contention in this part of the build would be the slipper hub, where once you're placing those pads on there, it's really easy for those to slip out on the other side. On this side, it's keyed, so you're not going to be experiencing problems on this end. So just go ahead and push these in, and they're kind of tight fitting, so just take your time with pushing these in. You could actually break these too. Like if you use too much force, this could actually break. In between the slipper pads, we put in the slipper plate. There we go. And then we put on the outer hub. And just take your time on this side. Once again, just the exploded view manual makes everything look just so complicated, but it's really not. It's just things are just one thing. It's just stacked on top of the other. The major problem is just orientating the parts correctly. And then it's just, you could orientate parts incorrectly. It's just not keyed. So let's go ahead and grab this other component, and I apologize, it's just out of frame. This is just the other slipper spring retainer. So it's going to try to get that in focus so you can see which side that's flanged on. This is actually the correct one, so it's actually correctly orientated for that one. And then this one's actually correctly orientated too for that center bearing insert. That's actually correct. So I got one side correct. I didn't have the other side correct. Alright, and I apologize for that being out of frame. It's just one problem is it's just that you have so many components stacked on top of each other. It's difficult trying to get everything to line up and line in. There we are. Okay, so then that is flipped now. There we go. and get the center bearing in there. There we go. So one side is correct, the other side is incorrect. And then the spacer is going to go on the other end there. And this is perhaps the most difficult part of the build. And then we're going to go ahead and just put in the slipper drive cup on there, and we got to push in the solid retaining pin. And then this is actually held together by just 2 small set screws. So that is the other part of the difficulty. So all those small pieces are going to just be held on there, and then the hardest part is just putting in that retainer pin on there, because everything wants to fall out, and you have to kind of push everything in. And this is why it's also important to check for that center mount to make sure that those pieces are oriented correctly, because to redo this, I actually had to take everything apart to get that other piece orientated correctly. Alright, so let's go ahead and push in that retainer. It might help to kind of push it in through a few times. The plastic actually has some flash on there, so you just need to kind of use a little force to push it in, but not enough force that you break the part. There we go, got the pliers in there, so that's gonna go in. And that is fitting okay. Alright. Then we just put in our retaining screws. And that should go in okay. And I apologize for that being out of focus. My attention was trying to get that set screw in. There we are. Okay, next step is to grab this O-ring, and then it's just a slipper nut O-ring. This is just going to fit over the spring, but it's going to go over the slipper nut cap. We're just going to put some black grease on here, and I'm just going to use a little too much black grease here to get that in there. There we are. And get the slipper nut over that, and I'm just threading it in, and there we are. We're almost done. Always got to put in another solid pin, and I don't really want to push in on that spring a whole lot, but you just want to push it in enough force so that you could actually pop in that retaining pin. And it's kind of difficult because by now I have black grease everywhere. There we are. Just gonna try to pop in. So it's kind of frustrating. You're trying to pop in that retaining pin. There we go. And there we are. That is how you build out the slipper. And you guys could actually, I'm pretty sure, very confident that you guys could do a much better job of this than I did. But just remember, take your time with this part. There's a lot of pieces. Don't lose any of them, and just be patient, have fun. Don't orientate the parts incorrectly like I did, and you'd do fine. Thanks for watching.